This is the Because Fiction podcast, where we chat about all things Christian fiction. I'm your host, author, and insatiable reader, Shatona Havoc, who is out of breath, just ran into the house. And guys, we have back with us Roseanna M. White. She has a new book out. I suspect there are other things out that are coming that we need to know all about. And so welcome back, Roseanna. So happy to talk to you. And yeah, we're going to France this time.
We absolutely are. And thanks so much for having me back again.
I love talking to Roseanna. She's like me. You're not quite as eclectic as I am, but you are eclectic. You kind of move around, different genres. Not as I have genre or literary or however you want to call it, ADHD.
It's a good thing to have, honestly.
Right?
Reading widely is fantastic.
Oh, it's just so
and
cool.
Writing
so cool.
widely, yeah.
Right, yeah, it's like so much fun. So, yeah, I love so many things about this book, but instead of, diving into those without people knowing what we're even talking about, how would you give us an overview of what the Spy Keeper of Marseille is and where it came from and all that good stuff?
All right, so it is about a woman named Zelie Bellerose, who is in charge of France's largest intelligence network during World War II. Our hero is Marcel Laurent, who is a concert pianist, and he gets recruited into this group alliance in order to be their liaison to the arts sector, because during World War II, the French were getting any information they could about Nazi movements from everyone, from farmers and business owners, from artists, from musicians and actors, and they were gathering it all together and they were sending it to England, where, the French underground was kind of operating, and putting it in the hands of MI6. So their group was called Alliance because they were an alliance with MI6, and it is based on a true story, actually. The real life heroine here is Marie-Madeleine Foucault, and her story was just so amazing and inspirational, and also like jam-packed with way more than could fit in one novel, so I had to prune it back, but all the major plot things were taken straight from this woman's life. I did fictionalize the romance, so that's where it's a novel and not history, but yeah, so much history in there.
Oh, I love it. The French were so amazing, and it's frustrating to me because my dad was a huge history buff. I learned so much history from Dad, and it was always the little things that people don't really know about that he managed to find out and share, and it was fun. And yet he had this irrational dislike of several groups. There were just a few. The French couldn't stand them, the Germans, the Japanese. I mean, you can tell German, Japanese, where that came from.
Yeah.
He never said anything about the Italians, didn't bat an eye about them, but he could not stand the Swedes. It makes zero sense. I don't understand it. I understand. He was born in 1941, so I understood where the Japanese and he didn't care about them in America, but outside of America, we got problems. But he could not stand the French. Have you seen Wives and Daughters? In their Squire Hamley makes a comment, it's like, in my day we were content to hate the French. I mean, I felt like that guy wrote that for my dad, right? And so all of this amazing French resistance stuff in both world wars, I never knew, because Dad wouldn't study it because it was stupid French. I mean, I don't know what his problem with the French was, but I missed out on so much. So now all these authors, I mean, Janelle Soselsky wrote a couple in World War I,
Mm-hmm.
and then so many authors have written so many great things in World War II. And I'm like, thank you, because now I'm learning all the things that I never got to know as a kid. And I feel like I got, cheated.
Well, now you get to learn through fiction, which is so much fun anyway.
Exactly. And, because authors that take the time to study people like this and say, okay, I'm writing her story plus, that is just like Jane Kirkpatrick does that. Mm-hmm. With women in the late 19th or even mid 19th centuries. She writes, women who actually existed and what they did, and she fills in all the gaps.
Right.
Or, whatever. You guys, I love the way you do that, because then we get the actual history plus the other stuff. And it's usually easy to tell, not because it doesn't fit in well, but because you can see this is a character plot, not a history plot. So it's usually easy to tell what is probably plot driven versus actual historical fact, and that is super cool.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I definitely had in this one, there were like all the things you'd think, oh, she made that up. No, no, that was real history. But yeah, and what I really loved was, so I had decided, who my very fictional hero would be, and he was based on a couple different historical figures that I mashed together and just made my own. And so then as I was learning about the historical woman, Marie Madeleine, like she actually was a very talented musician who was accepted to Paris's premier conservatory, but decided not to go and to get married instead. And I was like, no way, she really is this amazing pianist. And, that's just an instant connection to my totally fictional hero. So I could really borrow a lot of her real life personality and put it in here. And it was just so much fun finding all of those, like, oh, wow, this fits perfectly with what I totally made up for you. So thanks.
Right. I love it so much. That's just like the best when when research backs up what you want to do.
Yep. So
it's
much
like
fun.
Score.
Yep.
Oh, I love it so much. I love it so much. So while you were researching, I mean, it's going to be hard on this one because this woman is the research on the one hand.
Yep.
But did you learn things about World War II in general that you just hadn't heard of?
That is always the case, especially because World War II is a fairly new era for me. So I'm constantly learning things as I'm writing these books. So I did a lot of research into the role of the arts in World War II, especially in France specifically, and learned so much. What I really loved was how the resistance was touching everything. So in the story, Marcel ends up being the conductor of a youth orchestra. And this was one of the historical figures that I, stole and mashed into his personality, because there really was a youth orchestra, and the leader of it really was doing this work. And they really were, getting all these messages in it, and they really were connected to the resistance. And the connection that he had in Vichy, which is where the government was also connected to the resistance. So just realizing that even the parts that we frown at, like this puppet government that Nazi Germany had set up inside France, had so many people fighting quietly inside it. And that was just so cool to learn that, people were there and they were doing the work and they were trying to save France however they could, even when it seemed like all was lost.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of those resistance people, because they were so careful, as far as I've read, they actually were looked down on and kind of like, I don't want to say abused, that's a bit strong maybe, but maybe not, I don't know. But the locals who thought that they had gotten in with the Germans, just really, they made life hard on them.
Yeah, calling people collaborators when in fact they were doing resistance work. Yeah, that definitely came up a lot after the war. And some of the other stories I'm writing, especially my Christmas novella that's coming out this year, it is also based on a real life couple. And in real life, this couple had to defend themselves in later years and prove that no, we were doing resistance work. That's why we were, in all these places. So yeah, it was a very real thing.
And another thing that I'm just so excited that you used is that one of there were lots of things that Germany did that kind of didn't make sense when you're thinking war, but they were really huge proponents of the arts.
Yeah.
So they they actually encouraged all of the arts stuff in a way that you wouldn't expect a conquering army to. Conquering army comes in, they take over, and they demoralize you, But when it came to the arts, and I think maybe some sciences, but for the arts are the one that stands out to me. They were like totally supportive of this, and it's like, yes, let's do this thing, and that's the best way then to kind of get one over them. I actually have a book idea in my head. I'll have to tell you about it later. That I want to do so bad because I think it would be cool, and it's because the Germans definitely supported those arts. And I love the fact that you brought it in, because it's not that you're the only one who's ever done it, but not very many people do.
Yeah, because Nazi Germany thought that they were the pinnacle of humanity, right? Like, so
Mhm.
so they thought they were the best at everything, and that included the arts. So they didn't just want to destroy the arts of the other countries that they invaded. They wanted to consume them, to subsume them. They wanted them to become part of Nazi Germany, and Paris especially, because, you know, Paris is like, that's where all the artists go, right? You know, like, that's where everyone in
Right.
Europe knows that Paris is, you know, the place to go if you are in the arts at all. So Paris was this like gem in the crown of Nazi Germany. And that was really their goal in taking Paris, was to subsume the Parisian art culture, the fashion, all the things that made Paris what it was. They wanted it to become part of Germany. And so in order to convince Parisians of this, because of course Parisians, one description I saw said that they treated Nazis in Paris like stray cats. They would just ignore them and be like, "You are beneath me." But this was not what Nazi
I
Germany
love
wanted.
it so much.
I know, it's so hilarious. That so in order to try to win the French over to becoming a, you know, good vassal state, they spoke to them through the arts, and that was part of their propaganda, and that's why they had all of these radio programs, and they actually ordered theaters to reopen and concert halls to reopen. They had to approve what was being shown, but they actually said, "No, you can't just be shut down. Reopen it. You have to be Paris." So it was a huge part of their entire method of taking over, was to say, "Nope, you're doing it. We're going to control what you do, but it has the show has to go on." One of the research books I have is called "The Show Must Go On." So yeah, it was a huge part of what they did.
I love it so much. I was listening to the audio sample before we started, and I was like, mm, this is so good. This is so good. There is just enough French accent in just the right words that it makes you feel right, without there being so much that it's hard to listen to.
Oh,
It
perfect.
was so well done. And even better, there's it because it's the scene. She's at this checkpoint. I'm assuming it's chapter one. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually get to
It is.
hear what chapter it says, but she's at this checkpoint and all the things that are coming down, and I'm just like, okay, you've got me. I've got
Excellent.
to go buy more credits. I've used up my credits this month, but I'll go buy 5 more, because why not? Because I need this book. Which, I mean, I have it on my shelf, I think. Yeah, I think that's it over there. But this audio is so good that I'm like, yeah, I'm going to need that too.
Yep. I listened to the first bit of it. I haven't listened to the whole thing, but the narrator did a fantastic job for sure.
Oh, she was awesome, guys. If you love a good, just a really good narrator, this she is who you want for this. This is like, I want to say chef's kiss, but that's a little too French right now. Or maybe it's perfect. I don't know. But yeah, just, so good, so good, so good. So, okay, these characters, she is a widow
Yes,
and she has children.
she does.
What is going on with these children? Because she can't be doing all this stuff and mommying.
Yeah, that's actually one of the driving points of the book. So at the start, her kids are with her mom, and they are at her family home while she is traveling all about. So she doesn't see them as often as she would like, and this is tearing her apart. But she's doing this for them because she doesn't want her kids
Right.
to grow up in Nazi-held France, right? So she deems this worthy of fighting for. And her late husband was a military officer. He was killed at defending the Maginot Line. So her thinking is, you know, he fought for our family's future and he died, and I still have to keep fighting because the fight is not over yet. So yeah, it's definitely something that is one of her driving forces. She's doing this for her kids, but she's also forced to make really hard decisions in order to give them the future that she wants them to have.
Love it so much. Oh my goodness. That's just, it would be so hard. But on the other hand, if you don't do this,
Yep.
what will happen to your children?
Yep.
I mean, at least there is family to be with them. But I mean, I would just be the hardest thing in the world to say, I have a choice. I can either protect my children by staying with them and hope it's enough, or I can protect them by protecting not just today, but their future.
Yep, those are exactly the decisions she felt like she had to make because of the position she was in. And we get some major plot points that revolve around her kids. So I can't tell you everything. But when we see her kids, they're in a few scenes and they're pretty amazing. And yeah, so I love
Kids
how
in a book are always fun.
Yep. Yep.
Just gotta love kids in a book. Okay. So let's talk faith, because one of the things that you do so well, and I so appreciate about the way you put faith in a book, is you say, what is the faith tradition of this area?
Mhm.
And then you lean into it.
Yeah.
And so this is France. I'm assuming we've got some pretty devout Catholics in here.
Yes. Yeah. My French set books are always going to have Catholic characters because 98% of the population was Catholic, and the 2% that were not, mostly were not French. They were people who had come in and moved in from other countries. So my French characters, I mean, it's just a given that they're going to be Catholic. In this book in particular, Zelie had a kind of traditional upbringing where she went to a convent school. Like, this is what women of her class did. Like, they were
Right.
schooled by nuns, right? But they then left school and promptly forgot it, right? In this era, especially, it was very fashionable to not be religious. So she's let it fall by the wayside, but it always comes out in a pinch, right? Like, if you
Right.
are in a tight spot, well, you pull out the prayer that you have
And that's
learned,
right.
and you can recite it. Marcel, on the other hand, has a very intense faith and a very devout faith, and it is also Catholic, yes, and he has not faltered and fallen away. But when he was in a POW camp before the story opens, and when we meet him, he's just getting back to Paris, having been in a prisoner exchange where he's released. And when he comes back to freedom, that looks very strange because there are still Nazis everywhere. He realizes that he had put God in a box when he was in the POW camp, like thinking that he just couldn't fathom how this would end, how it would resolve, and where God was in all of it. But now that he's free, he can see where God had been in the camp with him, and he can see God's hand where he is now. So he's the one that's very much the faith encourager through the story, who's encouraging Zelie to get back to her faith as well. And I love his faith and his personality in here, because it is totally selfless. Like, he loves selflessly, and he has his faults, of course, and his challenges with forgiving people who have betrayed him, but he's also very earnestly seeking God's will for his life and for her life and for the organization and for her kids and for their friends and their family. So I loved writing him.
I can imagine. Okay, so this is going to sound kind of strange coming from someone who isn't Catholic. I absolutely love certain parts of Catholicism when it's shown in books. I love seeing why.
Mm-hmm.
Because often the why is very different from the assumption of the why. And so, like, I remember the first time I read about like the Stations of the Cross, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is brilliant. I mean, this is just like, I can see, because I mean, these things were developed before a literate society.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it makes so much sense. But most of what I'm familiar with, what, having, reading these things, it's almost always in either books that take place in America back then, insert whenever then was back, or things that are actually a little closer to Rome. Because, anything I read that is English is usually stronger on the Church of England side, which is closely related, but not the same as Catholicism.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I mean, like, but I don't know anything about the French. If there's a shift in tradition, not necessarily like it's different, but how it's used is different or whatever. I don't know, except that they've got some incredibly gorgeous cathedrals. Can I just say?
They do indeed. Yeah. And so, and learning the history. I was not raised Catholic. My family became Catholic just a couple years ago. So there's still a lot I don't know either. And so, especially because Vatican II, which happened in the 60s, I believe, was this very big shift. That's when Mass went from being in Latin to being in whatever your native tongue is. And that's also when you were encouraged to start reading your Bible. So in the 1940s, this was before all that. And so it's kind of a different, structure
Right.
than what I'm used to as well. So I'm constantly emailing my friends who know a lot more about this than I do and being like, okay, Karen, what were the churches like at the time? Did they have kneelers or were there just pews? She's like, some of them didn't even have pews. And I'm like, oh no, pews. Oh my goodness, what? And so, yeah, so there's a lot of, well, what would they have been reading? What would they have been memorizing? And so it is very different at this point in history. So it's definitely something I have to research, and it's fun to learn what it all is and what it would have looked like at the time, but definitely takes some research for sure.
So are there any things that we will see in here, not and here, but in here, as in this book? As soon as I said it, I was like, that sounds kind of weird. Anyway, but are there any things that we might not associate and now we're going to learn about, or is it too much? Because I mean, the Nazis were pretty suppressive of any kind of religion in some places, and in other places they weren't. I don't understand the inconsistency there. Can I just say?
Yeah, I don't pretend to understand a lot of what they do. For the most part, they let the French continue to practice their faith however they wanted. They did things like say, there was a curfew, so even, midnight mass for Christmas had to be earlier in the night, that sort of thing. But they generally had respect for the faith in France. So for the most part, you're not going to see a whole lot that's too surprising. There are some prayers that we pull out because those are always fun. And otherwise, Zelie has a scene where she, I think, or did I cut the scene? Gosh, now I'm having a moment. where she's praying, and it's really just the Lord's Prayer, which is something we're all familiar with, but I don't think we as Protestants know how much a cornerstone it is in the Catholic faith. Like this, the Our Father, as it's called, is trotted out constantly, like many times a day, honestly. My husband and I do prayers in the morning, and it's in that, and we do a reading and it's in that, and there's another reading and it's in that. It's the cornerstone prayer. So Zelie works through this prayer personalizing it, and that's actually kind of like an exercise called festooning the Lord's Prayer, which is something that a lot of people have done. I think C.S. Lewis was one who did it, and it's just rewording it to be your own words and to make it personal. And it's part of a spiritual formation exercise, which is an interfaith thing. Christians of many denominations will do spiritual formation, but it has a lot of Catholic roots too. So that was fun. That was kind of her come to Jesus moment, and I had fun with that too, because the historical Marie Madeleine had a similar moment, but in her case, it was actually, I want to say she had a dream or a vision or something that, or no, she went into a church and had a mystical experience with the Virgin Mary. And I figured that might be a bridge too far for my readers. So we just had it. We had a Lord's Prayer come to Jesus moment. And I think it was still faithful to the experience of the historical woman, but put it more in, terms of what my character would experience.
I love it. I just love seeing and understanding not just the differences, but also the differences between areas, because there's going to be a focus on something in one area that might not be as strong of a focus in another.
Yeah.
And I love trying to understand where those like merge and converge and diverge. All the verges. I just need to write a book about the verges apparently. But anyway, but I love it so much. So walking away from this book, what do you expect? See, I'm gonna mix this one up a bit. What do you expect readers will take away from it? Not what do you hope they will, but what do you think they will?
Gosh, I think that they will take away the idea that wherever they are and whatever they feel their work is, God can use that. And that's, a big theme that is kind of hard to miss in the book, where we have, our musician who, on the one hand, he's just a musician, right? Like, he's not a trained spy. He's not a politician. He's not a soldier. He was a really bad soldier. And he will say this outright. But, what he has is his music, and he can use that to help the people around him. He can use that to give messages, not just, the ones that they're sneaking out to the British over the airwaves, but the messages of his heart. And that's something we can all do. So whether you're the mom, or whether you're a teacher, or whether you're an artist or a musician, or whether you're a shopkeeper or a farmer, that can be important work if you're doing it with the right heart, and if you're doing it for God, and if you're doing it to help the people around you. So that's, I think that's the kind of big takeaway theme.
Well, if it weren't for all of those, I'm going to call them, guys, I don't mean this to be insulting, but I don't know how else to put it right now. The little people, if you will, if just everyday Joes didn't do all the things that everyday Joes did, that war would have come out very differently.
Absolutely.
And it's unbelievable. And why do we call it a war? There were multiple wars within a single war. It wasn't just battles. There were actually multiple wars within this war. And to me, that is just because, if you think about it, you've got Germany against Europe, you've got Japan against the Pacific and possibly even the US.
Mm-hmm.
They tried, bless them. They didn't succeed, but they really tried. They blew up a Sunday school party, so I guess they had a minor win. But they tried so hard. And then you have Russia against pretty much anyone who got in their way.
Yep.
So we have wars within this war, and if all those everyday people who said no, not on my watch, I'm going to do what I can to stop it. And if I die, we had a lot of Esthers, if I perish, I perish.
Yeah. And sadly, a lot of them did perish doing the work, but yeah.
It's so beautiful. Oh my goodness. So we have this one. Didn't it just come out?
Yeah, it came out in July 7th. Yes, July 7th. I had to look at my calendar. Yeah. What day was that? Right? And it was just a week ago, as of when we're recording this.
Oh, that's so funny. But so what are we seeing? What's coming next? Because you are a writing machine. I love the way that you just write. But you're not just right. You're dealing with health issues and writing machine. Yeah. And you're a publisher. And you're a designer. And guys, if you don't know that she has a really cool shop on her website, she'll tell you about that in a minute. You're doing all these things, but I know there are several books coming out.
There are indeed, yeah. So, happily, next month, the paperback version of last year's Christmas novella that was digital only is out in paperback. So we're all very excited about that.
Yes!
And they did learn the lesson that my readers want paperbacks too. And this year's Christmas novella will be out in September in all formats. So that's a yay.
Score.
Yep. So that one is a lot of fun. It's called The Christmas Courier. And it's also got Resistance. We're in Lyon, France, which has really cool architecture that plays a huge role in the resistance. So that's super fun. And then next summer in World War II, we will have The Translators' War, which is, you know how you love all your books, but there are some of them that just take hold of you and kind of, you're a little obsessed with them.
Hostage?
Yeah. This is one of those. So my editors are like, this is your best book yet. And I'm like, yay. So I'm super excited for this one next July. That's in the world of World War II still. In other stuff, I've got several mysteries coming out with Guideposts. And actually the lead book in one of their series called Beach Rose Cottage Mysteries, which should release next April, I think. March, April, something like that.
Can I just say, I am so happy. I don't know who I wrote to, but I wrote to a publisher, whoever the publisher is. I don't remember. Is it Tyndale? I wrote to them and begged them. I was like, we need, and I begged all of the listeners to write to them and beg them. Sure. Right.
So people did, and people were just commenting on all the social media posts. They were asking in the comments. And so I finally broached the subject with my editor and was like, hey, is there any chance at all? And she's like, oh, we're already talking about it. We have seen the demand. I'm like, oh, yay. So that was very happy news I got last December. So it was, obviously they couldn't put it out right then and there, but it'll be out in time for this Christmas. And it releases in August. So I should be getting copies soon. And I'm super excited.
Okay, guys, there's two things that you need to know. Number one, if you don't know what we're talking about,
the Christmas book flood,
right? So we're talking Iceland, World War II, all the great stuff. Okay. But guys, we begged for this book. Now we have to buy it.
It's
Because
true.
if we don't, then the next time we beg for a book, they're not going to listen to us. I mean, you ask for something, it's kind of like, you go to, you have someone come out for a free estimate, all the air quotes here, and, they spend hours upon hours getting you all the measurements and all the things. And then you're like, yeah, I'll think about that someday. It doesn't work. You can't do that. You are wasting their time and money. Let's not be that person, guys. Buy the book. Okay.
Yep.
I've got I can say it. Roseanna can't, but I can. And so I'm going to, because I want them to do these things when we beg for them. So, okay. All right. I'm fine now. Deep breath.
And
All is good. By the way,
I'm
audio on
grateful.
that was good.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, goodness. So, as far as your website, in case people don't know, I mentioned that you actually have a really cool shop on there. Why don't you give them just a little bit about your shop?
Sure. My shop started with signed copies of my books, so I certainly have those. You can get any of my books signed and personalized to the recipient of your choice if you want. And then I decided, I need t-shirts and I need tote bags, and then I just need bookish things. So I've got candles and I've got tea and I've got jewelry that ties in with my books. So yeah, it's just bookish things is what I call my shop, and we've got everything to delight a book lover's heart there.
I mean, guys, if you think about it, okay, I know this is July, so just pretend we're talking. Of course, by the time this comes out, it won't be July anymore. That's not the point. Christmas is coming, okay? And if you think about it, you sometimes it's really hard to buy gifts for book lovers, because usually they see a book they want, they buy the book, they have the book, and they've already got it. But if they have a book by Roseanna that they love, you can go to her shop and you can buy the piece of jewelry that goes with it, the candle that goes with it, the tea that goes with it, and you can just create this little basket of that book's goodies. And you don't have to buy the book, because they've already got the book, unless you want them to have a signed copy of that book, and then they can pass that book along. Either way, it works both ways, but it's a very easy way to give a book lover a book gift that isn't necessarily risking giving them what they already own.
Yep. And I have gift cards, so you can always just get a gift card and they can get what
Exactly. There you go. I mean, come on, guys. It doesn't get better than that. So I had to put it out there, because I love her. I love her gift shop so much. Have I bought much? No, that's not the point. The point is I can and I will. And that's what matters.
It's there when you're ready for it.
Right? Oh, so excited. So excited. Well, Roseanna, this has been fun. I'm so grateful that you came. Where do people go for this bookshop to find out more about you, to get on newsletters and all those things?
Right. Everything is roseannamwhite.com. You can find me on social media. I'm always at Roseanna M. White, so it's consistent across all platforms. Yep. And from my website, you can sign up for my newsletter. I do send out a newsletter once a week, and it has all the relevant updates. It's got, little teasers for my blog posts from the week. It's where you see cover reveals first and get news first. And I have a little segment called Let Me Tell You a Story, where I just babble about my life for a little while. And that is where I give health updates regularly. So yeah, that's all in the newsletter, which you can sign up for on the website. The shop's on the website. The signed books are on the website. I have fun landing pages for many of my books, including one I just built for Spy Keeper, where you can see a map and you can see my characters, and you can, for this one, I must share this. I asked my husband, how hard would it be for you to build me a little agent code name generator? And he's like, give me 15 minutes. Well, an hour and a half later, he had built me this lovely little agent codename generator, because Alliance ended up using animal names. And so you can fill out a few questions and it will assign you an animal name. And that is your secret code name for Alliance if you were a spy with us. So that's super fun. Yep. So you can find that on the website too. And whatever else I throw up on there, I don't know. As I come up with things, I just toss it up on the page. But anything that has to do with the book will end up there.
I love it. I love it so much. And now I got to go find out what my spy name is, because Shatona, and she has her issues. But that's so good. Well, again, it's great to talk to you. Thank you so much. You got to come back and tell us about what's coming next. We're waiting. We're drumming our fingers.
I'll be here. Absolutely.
Meanwhile, guys, I'm going to say have a good day. Go read her good book. She has plenty for you to read. If you've already read this one, have you read Shadows over England? Have you read The Codebreakers? Have you? I mean, come on. I could keep going forever, but you get the drill. There's plenty. If you've read every single thing she's written, then get over to guidebooks and pre-order the mystery series coming. How's that?
There's plenty. I just turned in number 56, so I can keep you busy for a while.
A little while.
A little while.
And I'll chat with you guys next time.